Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. Here to review, chat, commiserate after Lazio Fiorentina. I'm your host, Sean McIntosh, joined by my good friend, Caleb Adams. Caleb, a little midweek calcio, a lot of Serie A games today. How you doing this Wednesday afternoon?
My Wednesday was going great until this game. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Um, some positives, but
Yeah,
a
that's
little more of the same. But we had some goals to at least chat about, a
true.
little bit of life from the team. So let's jump in, especially a crazy week, tons of mercato rumors and links, and I'll be honest, it's just nice to be a part of it. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe
100%.
you go a whole transfer window completely blocked, no links. I definitely miss it. While it can be chaotic and there's a lot of nonsense out there, I quite enjoy just consuming it, the chatter, the talks, the text messages, and the hope that comes with a transfer market. So, but looking at our starting 11 for this one, we knew we were going to be thin. We were without our striker, and you see the anticipated decision to go with Cancellieri as that number 9 leading the attack with Isaacson to his right, Zaccagni on the left, Guendouzi in the starting 11. Again, rumored that he would be in the lineup for this one as his potential, very likely final match with Lazio. And then Cataldi again starting. I mentioned that only because Rovella is back. This is his second match back with the team. We have yet to see him enter as a sub in either one of these two matches. So look, this one starts and we see a much more lively Lazio, a lot better in the attacking phase of the game. 16 minutes in, Zaccagni, really nice work to win the ball, steals the ball. Fantastic. We see that from him a lot in this match today. Plays an incredible ball to break Isaacson, who then just has a really tame, poor attempt to pass it to Cancellieri with what would have been an incredible opportunity on frame to very likely like tap it in. And so first
Yeah.
time you kind of see one of those misplays from Isaacson. 17-minute, shortly after, a nice, beautiful corner from Cataldi, falls to Gila. It's cleared off the line, a rebound attempt, blocked as well. And we see this flurry of chances that resumes minutes later from that same attack. And then the first claims at referee nonsense comes because a Romagnoli shot blocked off the line, rebound, falls in front of Gila, who goes to take a crack at it and is pulled back intentionally, pretty aggressively. It is a clear pen by anybody with two sets of eyes.
Mhm.
We've got some friends that are Fiorentina fans, some pretty notable Fiorentina accounts who also claimed that it was a stone cold penalty. Well, shocker, it's not given.
Mm.
And it's kind of frustrating for fans, for players aside. 23 minutes, another massive defensive play by Zaccagni, monster tackle. You see that effort and grinta from him. We have to substitute Toma Basic, 29th minute in, another injury, bringing Vecino in. We go into halftime 0-0. Bit frustrating there. We feel like we're going to rue our chances. Felt like we could have had 2 or 3 goals in that first half. So we go into the second half, 52nd minute, and Cataldi, an absolutely brilliant goal, makes a beautiful touch to get by his defender, plays a nice little ball, gets the ball back on a nice 1-2 from Vecino,
Mm.
buries it as if he is just just a clinical striker, right? We wish we would see a little bit more of this from our attacking player. So it's nice that we finally get a goal from a midfielder. Beautiful. And we can barely celebrate. A couple minutes later, Gosens, off of a broken play, starts off with Isaacson losing the ball and ultimately Isaacson losing his man Gosens, who finds the goal. It's 1-1. Another Isaacson failed opportunity, 69th minute. He wins the ball. He has the ball. He sees a breaking Zaccagni making a wonderful run, holds on to it a bit too late. By the time he decides to make a pass, it's a poor pass and it's a quick turnover. And then 85th minute, Gila attempting to slide Gudmundsson, pulls off from his challenge. Gudmundsson dives, goes to ground. It goes to VAR. Initially, I thought it was a stone cold penalty. And then the first replay, I was like, no contact whatsoever. Goes to VAR. There is, if there's contact, we're talking minimal at best. And
there is, I think on that play,
it's initiated from Gudmundsson, who
100%
is looking for the call, right?
He drags his foot.
He drags his foot. We would never in a million years get that call. In a million years. I mean, again, the foul on Gila in the first half is beyond reprehensible that it wasn't given. And so, of course, this one's given. Provedel stretches, gets a hand on it. It's not enough. Finds it back in the net. Fiorentina up 2-1. Late stages, Zaccagni in the 94th minute does so well to turn his defender and earn a proper penalty. Neutrals may look at this and go, "Oh, what do you mean? What are the claims of against the ref? You guys earned a penalty." Well, very different, right? This was just brilliant work from Zaccagni earning that penalty. Pedro steps up and does what Pedro does, finds the back of the net. Ultimately, this one ends 2-2 in a draw. Caleb, give me your 3 words or less to describe this match.
Sponsored by Olipop.
Yeah, I wish they want no free ads, baby. If you
my bad. My 3 words are more of same. And this comes on a lot of different fronts, actually. More of the same, from the refereeing in this league against us. I mean, Fiorentina fans were saying themselves, there's no way that first penalty, there's no way that first foul was not a penalty against Gila. Fiorentina fans were tweeting that. And on the second goal, Fiorentina fans were saying, oh man, Gudmundsson threw himself. Like, there's no way that's a pen. Like, even Fiorentina fans are like, this is crazy that we're getting these calls and not getting them. So more of the same from the refereeing side. More of the same from Isaacson, just completely blundering in the final third. And more of the same of us dropping valuable points and drawing once again against teams that we should be really trying to push to win against. More of the same of not being able to get those 3 points at home. It's been over a month since we've been able to win a game at home, which has been not fun. Yes, we're getting points, so that's it. Could be worse for sure. Don't get me wrong; it could definitely be worse. But I just saw a little bit more of the same of a wasteful Lazio, a terrible referee today.
So mine was more scandalous refereeing. So a little bit to you where it's like more of the same, but I made mine very specific to the refereeing here. More scandalous refereeing because and you know we can chat about. I agree. There's some things that are like more of the same. The result is a lot of what we've been seeing, but I do think that today's Lazio was very different from what we saw against Napoli. Very different than what we saw in Napoli. We can say, okay, not much better side.
So.
Right? You would hope, sure. But I do think this was a better side than what we saw against Cremonese or Udinese. Like we were creating chances. I was thrilled with that first half, looking at that and saying, well, this is a side that's actually like come to play. You know, all this happening without an attacker, without a natural striker. You look at the statistics in this one, and 2.74 expected goals, 17 total shots. I mean, this is a side, 9 of those on frame, good quality balls on corners and free kicks, and it felt a little bit more open in some of those like counter attacks. So I felt much better. Like it was a bit different, which is why it really, obviously, that first half pained us to not walk away with goals because I just, you always feel like the bad is coming. But I did feel like it was a different Lazio. And for me, it comes down to the refereeing decisions because, and this is what I tweeted. I had a replay. Somebody posted the replay of the Gila, what should have been a penalty in the first half, and it was like, all right, we can be frustrated about the results, but here's my tweet: Mercato block, injuries, right? We've got mounting injuries, suspensions. It's already a tall mountain to climb, very tall mountain to climb. And then every single match, there is an insane call against us like this. I want to be upset at the results, but at some point it becomes too much to overcome. Like, we're not 2 goals better than Fiorentina. Like, look at the lineup. Look at the players that we have. This is not a European, this is not a Champions League, a Europa, or even a Conference League level squad. We didn't get to reinforce. And so everybody else got better. So it's not like we can even look at this and say, okay, well, it's last year we were competitive. And then on top of that, we have these mounting injuries, or we have guys playing in AFCON, or we've got suspensions and we're super thin. And then it's like when something does go right and you find somebody like a Toma Basic, well, then he gets suspended. And then today he gets injured. And then our star boy in Rovella is out for months, and then we don't have a striker, and all of these things mount, and you come out and I know you and I were debating. Fiorentina on paper is a better team. I don't care. You can look at it by the table, but the table is like, again, I think
I do have some pushback there, but we can debate that later.
Okay, so but we can't agree that we're not 2 goals better. It's not like
certainly Fiorentina should not be in a relegation. They have the quality to be better than a relegation side. That for sure is without a doubt.
And I think we are overperforming. I think our place in the table, while it's egregious as Lazio fans, because we want to be fighting for Champions League, and at the bare minimum, we are a team that is often in Europe. Seeing ourselves in ninth is not acceptable. But the reality is, Caleb, with all of the things against us, and then you throw in, it's already a tall mountain, and then you throw in the fact there's 2 bad calls that are direct pens or non-pens. That's a 2-goal swing. How are we supposed to compete? I mean, how are we supposed to compete? We can get mad, and we're going to talk about this, right? There are moments, and there are players, and there are things, and there's we're going to get into some of that. But when you take a step back, those things always happen, right? Players miss, players do their part. They struggle. There's wrong tactics, bad substitutions. But at the end of the day, when there are 2-goal swings coming from refs, and it's not one game, it's game after game after game. How can I be upset at the team? How can I be upset at the players? Like, like at some point, it's like you kind of I almost want to say that the team should be boycotting these games. That's how like egregious it is. I mean, again, this is a Fiorentina side. Okay, look at their place in the table, but this isn't a Serie B team. This isn't. We're not Real Madrid. When things are going well, we're not Real Madrid. We don't walk in. There's no for years, right? There's no, hey, this match is a guarantee win, because we know what happens. When you pencil in a W and 3 points against the likes of Lecce or Parma, we know that's not the case. And so now you're going to give these egregious calls against us. And you got small calls that are really bad, right? Cancellieri getting a yellow, where it's like, come on, bro. Like, are we even kidding? Like, forget that. And that's on the low list of all the egregious calls. But we're talking about stone cold penalties that we earn, that we are out there because of our pressure, because of the attack. You got to be, as a player, you got to be like, what's the point, man? Like, this is frustrating. And then for those pens to then be given on the other end, it's I can only imagine from the player side, but as a fan, it's like, why are we even doing this to ourselves? It's really, really a struggle. So Yeah, that's my thoughts. Again, like we'll talk about the players, but it's really hard to be like, man, I'm pissed off at Sadi or players when I feel like they came out and by run of play, we were the better team. Like they, by and large, again, we'll talk about players, but by and large, like they did their jobs. They came out here and outperformed Fiorentina and should have walked away with 3 points. And when you have two of those calls like go against you, it's tough, man. It's tough. So talk to me about some of your players that stood out to you. Who's your man of the match?
Um, I think overall, I was quite. I think the result. I think that's why the calls and the result are even more infuriating because we did come out and play a good game. We did look lively in the attack, despite everything against us. Um, we did look better, and we were up for the match. But for me, I think Zaccagni was excellent today. I think he really carried the attack. I think if anything was happening, it was coming through him combining with Cancellieri, the wing backs. I thought he was very good today. Deserved an assist, a goal, something for his performance today. I thought Cataldi was very good for the most part too. I didn't notice too much of Guendouzi today. I didn't notice too much of Vecino. I did notice Cataldi the most in the midfield today. I was very pleased with the performance. The goal he scored was brilliant. I mean, that was so good. The run, the pass, the finish. Um, and I even think, despite the penalty against Gila, I thought both our center backs had some really good games as well. I thought both Romagnoli and Gila had good games for the most part. Um, but yeah, I think there's only one player that I was like, man, you were abysmal today. But everyone else was decent at the very. It was a lot of sevens. I would say 7/8s today in the performance wise in departments. I would say lowest, maybe six or lowers and stuff like that. But I think it was a collective effort more than individual effort. The only real like huge individual moments I think came from Zaccagni and came from Cataldi. But it takes a
Yeah.
team, right, to get these moments.
Yeah.
But those two stood out to me.
Yeah, I had Zaccagni as my man of the match, but it was between him and Cataldi. Zaccagni for me, those tackles that he was making
Mhm,
and
mhm.
single-handedly stopping a couple counterattacks, brilliant tackles, and then
Yep.
quick to win possession and dart up the field and make those counter
He was
attacking
everywhere,
passes. He was
everywhere.
awesome. He was awesome, and those are clips that I would show anybody because I
Mhm.
hear it. People that are like, I don't think Zaccagni's a leader or this and that. Those to me, that's the captain,
Yeah,
and so I like that. And obviously, he does his part to earn the penalty, which is what he does. Like
yeah.
another frustration when it comes to players getting yellows on our team, and Nasen picking up that second yellow last match when this is Zaccagni is he gets more against him than anybody else. He is fouled
Yeah,
harder, relentlessly, and is doesn't these players aren't given yellows. It
yeah.
takes like 3 fouls against Zaccagni for them to finally issue a yellow. So it's really frustrating. So I give him my man of the match because I was really I thought he just played very inspired and yeah, just going on the bidone. I know we're going to be on the same page with this. Funny enough, this player was actually given a 7.2 by FUTMob, which
Mm,
is exactly why you just can't rely solely on that. It's
mm-mm.
these websites are fantastic resources. I use them, I pull them up, but you've got to pair it with the eye test
Yeah.
and actually watching the matches. So my
Mm,
bidone, I think we're on the same page here. Isaacson, I mean, absolutely horrendous. Maybe his worst match in a Lazio uniform, both for his inability to make the right plays in attack. Obviously, he's just not clinical. His passing was off, turned the ball over, and then defensively, I mean, he was at fault for that first goal. And yeah, really, really, really starting to get fed up with him as a player because we had a moment last year, thought he could be a player. He's had these glimpses, but I feel like we're just fading away from that. I can't remember the last time we've seen these like strong Isaacson performances. So yeah, is are we done with it? Like where are we at? Are we have we lost all hope in him being a player? Because it seems like we've got more gripes with him than positives lately.
Yeah, I think even like the initial move, it's like when I look at Saxon, I think of like, okay, first day he arrived. What was that, 2.5 years ago at this point? Is that kind of where we're at? Around there? And you kind of compare from that to now, he's the same player. He has moments where he looks like he can be his players, is lively, curls in a great goal from outside the box. But most of the time, we're left frustrated because he has no weak foot. So he has to force on to his left. And his left isn't even that clinical because in the box, he struggles to create, not just finish his chances, but he even struggles in the decision making aspect. When I look at Isaacson, it's one thing to be limited in like your ability, technical ability, but if your decision making is on point, if you're able to like look up, see the game quickly, process quickly, then you can make up for that. Isaacson doesn't have that. He doesn't have that speed of processing. In the final third, he's too slow to make the pass. He's looking down most of the time. He can't switch it to his right foot and then make a decision off of that because he's so dependent. He seems to have a one route only. He's like a one route only type of player, and there are
Yep.
very few players that are able to, I think of guys like Robin. He was a one route player, but my goodness, he was unstoppable. But you have to be just a phenomenal, just a world class talent to be somebody that's one dimensional and be successful game in and game out. He just frankly does not have the talent. He does not have the mentality of it. And of course, like, we're Lazio. Like, I'm not expecting this to be a Mo Salah or anything, but comparing him to someone who's just kind of getting into the game, Cancelletti, Noslin, these guys were kind of around his range of development. I believe a lot more in those players than I do in Isaacson. I think we've hit the peak for him. I think Isaacson a bright player, like a bright player for a different league, for this league, and for the level Lazio. I don't think he's good enough. But today, I expect Isaacson to put some stinkers up in the attack on a consistent basis. Today, I think that's enhanced by the fact that defensively he made some critical errors that led to calls being against us, that led to bad moments for our defenders have to deal with. And the biggest example of that was the penalty itself. He gave up the ball in a bad position, didn't track Golson's on the run, particularly on that goal. Sorry, this was the penalty. This is the Golson's goal. Gave up the ball, didn't track Golson's. They score. You just can't do that at this level against anybody. So I think it's a combination. Of course, I feel like I'm always frustrated with this final third product, but that combined with just the defensive laps, it's a very clear choice on who was the Bedonia of the match.
Yeah. Yeah, it was clear, right? Like I don't know. Obviously, you have some mid performances, like you said. It's a bummer that Ganduzi goes out, which is such a sour taste in his mouth with the result and the way this one went. Obviously, not his best performance. Relatively like invisible in this one. Not a bad performance, but
Yeah,
was hoping that he would go out with a bang and a little bit more. Of a part to play in this game. But how do you, just on the note of Ganduzi, assuming this is all done, right? Signed, sealed, delivered, and he's on his way out to Fenerbahce. How do you see his tenure? Like, what do you looking back on Ganduzi? What do you think?
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. I kind of wanted to also do a little bit of a review of his time here. Funny enough, his time started with Sadi and ended with Sadi. He was brought in by Sadi specifically, and
Yep.
his tenure stopped when Sadi came back, which is pretty interesting. I
Yeah,
think,
because Tudor came in, and then all of a sudden it was like Tudor
yeah,
was
immediately.
very anti. Seemed like all the rumors were he didn't rate, didn't appreciate
Yeah,
Ganduzi or
I
Rovella.
think they were Marseille together, and they didn't get along
Yeah,
in Marseille. So it's an interesting journey. I think that I have personally been very pleased with Guendouzi. I've really enjoyed having him at the club. His work ethic. I think we were past some of the best days of his. I think that first season he came in, first season and a half when Kamada also came in. Like, looking at Kamada, looking at Guendouzi, I thought was by far our best midfielder that season. He was even argued to be the player of the season. He was that good that season. I don't think he reached those levels, but it's tough to blame him for that because of the instability at coaching, the different coaching styles. I'm sure the different demands asked of him. Plus, it's just being in an unstable environment, and that's who has been the past few years. It doesn't allow most players to be at their best, period. And so that's something that we have to deal with. So, but I have been a huge fan of Guendouzi. I'm definitely sad to see him leave. I think an offer like that, he also wants to leave. You take it. And from the rumors are saying, I feel a little bit better about his departure because we're linked with some pretty solid players that I think better fit Saudi's system. And that's ultimately what we're looking for. We're looking for good fits to Saudi's system. But I wish Guendouzi the best. It was a joy to have him here.
Yeah, I agree. 3 seasons with us has been a key player in each one of those seasons. Like this year wasn't necessarily at his best, but again, so many changes, so many injuries. His midfield partners either injured or out, and so. But I'll say this, man. Availability is one of the best abilities, and
That's right.
Guendouzi, game in, game out. You never have to sub him out. He's somebody that's playing a full 90 and he's available and he plays and he runs and he gives maximum effort and he can be a pest to opposing teams. And I got his kit last year. I absolutely appreciated everything that he did. He's one of those players that you should appreciate as a fan because he's always going to fight for the badge and give it his all. So he's somebody that I'll always look upon fondly and hope he does well. And for us though, I said it, like if we can get 30 million and certainly reinvest that into the type of players that Saudi needs, then I'm all for it. And we'll probably do an episode once we a little bit more. I know we talked a lot more about transfer market in our last episode, but as some of this starts to materialize and becomes more concrete, right? Like I think we announced our striker today became official. And so like pretty close to some of these midfielders that you and I will record. We'll spend some time scouting, reviewing videos, and sharing our thoughts on some of these incoming players. But the players that we are linked to, who again, it seems pretty close with some of these. Also very excited for what they'll bring to the team because it's what we need. And for everything Guendouzi did, wasn't that playmaker. Now it would be great to have kept him and added these guys. Then we've got a tremendous midfield, right? If you think about Rovella, Guendouzi, and some of these attack-minded midfielders, it's perfect. But it's not that we have to sell to bring in, and so if we can get a 2-for-1, I think we're in really great shape. So hats off to him. Wish him the best. A great player for us. Just obviously didn't quite work out the past 2 seasons where we got to see ourselves in Europe. So yeah.
Yeah, no, and I loved also that he would always defend his teammates when there was scuffles, first guy in there. Love players like that.
Yep. Yeah. And so, yeah. So, I mean, that's all I've got. Caleb, any parting shots when it comes to this match? I mean, I know, just to share some of what you had said via text is like this draw doesn't do much for us. We find ourselves 9th in the table, 25 points, right a point behind Bologna, 3 points behind Atalanta. Atalanta and Bologna had played today. I was hoping for a draw, but again, this keeps us like touching distance of those two, which is still outside of Europe, but we are losing distance when it comes to European play. And then, when it comes to upcoming fixtures, we've got Verona this weekend, and not to say it gets any easier. We've got Como after that, who's a strong squad, but then it's Lecce and then it's Genoa. So What do you see looking ahead?
You know, my prediction is it's going to be a little bit more of what we're seeing already. I think we'll probably get quite a few draws out of this, which I'll take. Hellas Verona, Lecce, you expect to get wins there. Como, I'll be happy with the draw in a game like that. I think the main thing here is getting healthy, integrating the new players. Like you said, the season is not washed, but I'm certainly not like, man, like we need to be pushing for like top five or it's a bust type deal. I'm very happy just kind of building and build. It's nice to get results to build confidence within the group and confidence in Sadi and in the players to transfer to the next season. And I think that's the biggest thing is we want to finish strong, to have a strong second half of the season, build confidence within the players, and also be able to promote the team for potential signings in the summer. But if we're gonna play more like we played today, then I'll at least enjoy these draws. In terms of like this is a lot more fun than seeing that Napoli game. If that Napoli game finished as a draw, for example, it would have been an abysmal watch, regardless. I'm happy with the draw, of course. But if we're playing like this, if we start seeing more of those sidey triangles, integrating new players, I think it could breathe new life into the season. Not necessarily results wise. Even with the new signings, I'm not expecting us to just like immediately just like launch up and go on this win streak. But I think it brings new life to us as viewers that ultimately like to watch good soccer, right? And enjoy that. And I think we're capable under Sadi here. We've seen some glimpses. Today is a good example of it. So just to keep growing on that, keep being more attacking, and pray that the referees find a conscience and morality.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And if anything, like I mean, there's the two sides to it. On the positive side of not making Europe next year is that we don't have to worry about the rotation and
Yeah,
thin squad
it
depth
wouldn't be the
and
worst,
all
to
that
be
comes with
honest.
it. And perhaps we can use this time to integrate these new players, feel good, do a little bit more reinforcing in the summer. However, the financial impact of not making European competitions is pretty
Mhm.
significant, particularly for Lazio. So yeah, it's the two sides to this. So yeah, look, scandalous refs or not, it's